Hello, this is Ki with RunScore. Today I'll be covering some of the ways of using shortcuts and tools to navigate around your RunScore screen and the special screens like internet names and such to make your life easier and quicker. The first thing we're going to start off with is the actual RunScore program. We're going to go into Windows. We're going to use the Windows Explorer. We're going to go to our RunScore folder. We're going to go ahead and double click on the RunScore samples. We're going to go to the advanced race samples, and today we'll select the 5K advanced. This will list all the files. We're going to go down to entries.rfm. Notice that I've already set this up, so this is defaulted to use RunScore server. How we're going to do that is we're going to open up, the first way is open up the open with, we don't want to use TextPad. We want to go ahead and choose another app. So we're going to go ahead and go through the apps we have installed on our machine and find the RunScore server. But we want to continue to use this as a default, so we're going to say always use this app to open, and we're going to click open. That will go ahead and open. We're now directly in the race we want to be in, ready to go. It gives you a nice simple one-step function when you're going through files and different folders. We're going to confirm that. We're going to go back and notice your icon should change to the RunScore server. The other way to do this is if that doesn't work, you go to Properties and notice the type of file, FRM, the opens with. If that isn't, you can change it to Find RunScore Server and hit OK. Now, anytime we're in here, we see that that's ready to go. We'll double click on that. We're now right in that race and ready to go. One of the shortcuts from the old DOS days that still works is you'll notice we have on the instant or rapid menu listing here, we can go ahead and see that the E is underlined on internet at name screen. Again, you put your mouse over any of these, the browse for B, R for results. We're going to go ahead and either double click on or click on entry, or we can just hit the E key and notice we'll go right into internet at names. Again, on all of these screens we open up, we can hit the F1 to go directly to the help where it talks about all these items and how to use all the items. You'll notice you have some of the reminders on the bottom bar here. One I'll highlight is for a new, when you've typed in a record and you want to save it, instead of using the F10, F11, or F12, I would recommend using the F12 to add or update plus the clear to give you a new record, or F4 just to save that record on that page. The 10 will do the same as the 12, but it's right beside the F9, which could mean that you'd clear the fields before you saved it. Alt F10 also sets in for the defaults. Read more on that. It might help you in the future. 11 saves it and goes directly to the alternative directories that we have in the preferences. One of the first things to talk about on this is on each of these records, if we've got no current record showing here, that is a blank screen and you can type on with no problems. As soon as we go to the next record, we can use the navigation arrows here on the bar. If you notice it, the arrow to a wall is the first record, which is also the control home. Page up will go to the previous record. Page down, or this, will go to the next record, and the last record is a control end. So here, if we want to go ahead and see the first record, we now have a current record number. It was actually number 68 for the record numbers. We can go to the end record, and we do the same thing to 102. If we go to the control home, it'll take us to the first bib number, and control N take us to that last. Page up, we'll go ahead and keep stepping this up one at a time, which is the same as the previous. We can go page down and go on just as we do with the arrow, takes us to the next record. Again, control home will get you all the way there, but remember, it shows that you have a current record in there. This is a record you don't want to type over unless you just want to edit some of the information on it. If you want to go to a new record, we can go up here to the icon for new record, F9 or F9, and it will give us a blank screen with no records. So we've started with a new open slate. Okay, one of the next things we're going to do is show you some of the additional items we have here. The next one is the F7 ditto. Let's say we've just typed in bib number 158 and we want to put in another family members. What we can do is we can go to ditto. It's going to tell us that it's a duplicate record created. We're going to go ahead and use F8 on the function keyboard. Notice it went to 159. We'd go ahead and instead of Elizabeth, it's going to be James. It's going to be a male. 26, and we're going to go ahead and F4 to save that without leaving the record. So we now have 159. We've got James Wyatt. If we look page back up, we'll see Elizabeth Wyatt. We can also do an F12, go to 160. We're going to type in race. We're going to use the ditto fields, which is Alt F7 or this, and that will put Wyatt in there, and we put Tony in as a male 12-year-old, and we can do the ditto again for address, for city, zip code, city, state, any of the information that's in there. And we could do again the F12 to step to the newest value. Again, very simple way to use these icons and all the other information, and we can do a lot. The F4 updates up there, so the icons will work for you, and you can do a save of F10 to save, or the F12, and you can actually delete a record from here, which is F2. Nice simple way to do all these things in the Internet at name screen. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the browse screen. The browse screen is a spreadsheet type information for us. We're going to have the record, the bib number, all the fields that we've got in the database. We can scroll farther to the right to see all the information that we fill in. If we want to look at something here, let's say we're going to look for bib number 69. We hit enter, it'll take us right to that information. If both windows are open, that would go to 69. If we're just in this, if we want to double click on this, it'll take us to record number 69 where we've got the information there. Now, today I've just been informed that the number 10 and number 11, Rich and Kim Dobin, have swapped bibs. If we look at the results and look at the finish, all of a sudden we've got Kim Dobbin showing up at 65 as the number 2 finisher, and Rich is down there quite a ways, and he is a good runner. So we've been told they wore the wrong bib number today. So we're going to go in here and we're going to use a nice simple thing that's, if we look at the F1 for help again, swapping 2 bib numbers. They wore the wrong bib numbers, and today we're going to swap them all because they were wearing the wrong chip also. So here we're going to do the @ swap, the first bib number of 10, the second bib number of 11, and if you look here on 10 and 11, when I hit enter, Notice they've now switched, so Kim is now 10, not 11. And if we go back in and look at the results, we'll notice that Rich now shows up in his second place where he was supposed to. Very simple way to switch two people with the wrong bib numbers. And I've had as many as 8 people in a family that not one of them wore the correct bib. So we did quite a bit of swapping around. You have to do that because remember, the results are not tied by bib number, they are tied by record number. So we had to put that correct information in each of those records by record number. Nice, simple, easy way to do things. Again, on the standard thing is to sort by bib number. You can go in there and do the record number where you're actually sorting everything by record number, but notice the bibs aren't going to be in order on any of the other things you've got. Now, normally we're going to be sorted by bib numbers. We can also, if we want to see the last down, we can reverse the order by clicking on the title bar. We can go back to normal on that. We could sort by last name. We could sort by first name. If we want to sort by last name and subsort by first name, first thing we're going to do is sort by first name. Then we're going to sort by last name. And we now look down here and Clark, actually we got too many. We're going to close that to clear all the sorts out. We're going to go back into the browse. Let's go ahead again, type on first name, then on last name, and we look down here under Clark and Archie. Why are they not showing up correctly? The rest of these should show up in the correct order, but we'll go ahead and see what the heck's going on that. Looks like I might have sorted backwards. Anyway, we've got that going. Let's go ahead and do that the other way there so we're seeing it in that order. So Archie and John. Okay, you got to be careful how you're doing that to go ahead and make sure they stay in the correct order. Again, we can see all those things. If we're in the bib number, we can go ahead and click on the bib column or on this, and we can search for bib number 89. Not found. We're going to go ahead and go back there, and we're going to go 66, and it'll take us right to bib number 66. Again, if we're not in the internet at names, we want to go in there, we can go ahead and correct that information going there, or we can click on and right click on the field we want to edit, and you can edit that information in there and then save it by hitting the enter and then clicking in the field to get out of the edit mode. Very simple way to do a lot of these things in here. Again, if we want to turn this into a large, we'd type in large, delete the M, and then we'd hit, and now all of a sudden that data now has a large instead of a medium. Now we added some extra data in there earlier, so let's go to that. We're going to go down to the end, and we're going to notice that we have the 189 James and Tony. If we want to delete those, we're going to hit F2, and after the response, use Control F2 if you want to remove this warning message. Do you really want to delete this record? And yes, Control F2 will go ahead and give you a armed delete, just like on the other things. We'll hit F2 again, and we want to delete that. So now we're back to the normal data. Easy way to set that up and do everything else we want to do. We're going to look at the results on the finish. We're going to go ahead and see that we can go in here and review all these things. If we click on the bib column, it's the same thing as hitting F3. If we're over here and we hit F3, it goes there. If we're over here, we click on that column, it sets up to review the times or the bib number only. If we're actually removing the time only. And if we click anywhere to the right, we'll click both of them. That's the same as the F5. Now let's look at this real quick here, and we're going to take to the right here. We're going to take number 84. We're going to hold the Alt key down. We're going to move him and his time down one, and we're going to notice that all of a sudden 42 with a time of 1748 has a 51, and this time is below, so they're in the wrong order. We're going to move that back and notice that we're now in the correct time order and everything else. If we want to go ahead and look for a specific, search for a specific bib number, we're going to do a slash. We're going to do that 10 again, and we're going to jump down to where Kim Dobin's time is there. If we wanted to go ahead and see where the first walker was, the first column we're acting on is bib from the database, chip is 2, chip 2 is 3, and the race is 4. We're going to go ahead and say there's the first column, the second column, third column, fourth column, and we're going to type in W. We should see the first walker past where we were. We can repeat that with 1, 2, 3, 4 W and go to the next walker. Nice easy way. When you're not using chips, that will be just 2 slashes. You could also search on the last names when you go to the 5th. So here, if we want to look for snow, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we type in SNOW, and notice it'll jump us right to that last name. Nice easy way to search around in the results screen. Again, F1 will take us to the F1 key will take us to the help, tell us how to do a lot of these special functions. One of the other shortcuts that most people forget how to use is if we're in the first result screen, we can hold the Alt key down and go to number 2. Will take us to the second, the third, the fourth. So on this, if we look up here at results, we'll notice the fourth in line is the select. And if we want to go back to Alt 1, which is the first one, we hold the Alt key down, go to 1, and we go right back to there. Again, we can go to the first value, the last value. We can go paging up or paging down, handles by pages, or we can use the up and down arrows or the scroll on the mouse to be able to give you page through those. One of the last things to cover is we're going to go ahead and close that out. We have no screens open, so let's go ahead and look at listings by typing in the L or by clicking that. Notice that the screen's up. It's grayed out there. Every time we double click on this, it will run the default actions set up in the program, and that's usually set by destination. The default destination, if nothing is done, is to hit enter or to print. So that will run all those things. The other thing we can do is we can go ahead and look at the results for 5K. We can edit that program there. Again, we can sub-edit by double-clicking or highlighting that and clicking on the E or the edit on the right drop-down. We use the button there. Notice we can see all those things. Anytime there is a file name, we can double-click on that and edit those. Very simple on all those things. If the default is for a file name, it will create a file name wherever you've got the location set, and you can actually send most of these. You can send a destination to browse. If we look at on the check-sex, if we edit that, if we go ahead and do the check-sex RFM and we go ahead and edit that with a excuse me, it's not in the C run score on this machine. Anyway, if we look at D, I place mine on the D for all my programs. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So on this, we're going to the common directory using a check-sex RFM that has a destination set into it for the browser. So when we run that, we're going to go ahead and see no records to browse on the first one, no records to browse on the second one. So if it was, we'd be able to set the information in there to do whatever we needed to adapt the sexes or to figure out who would be looking for later. So again, we've covered a lot of the things that can happen when we're dealing with the icons, everything else. One of the things I forgot to cover on results, we could go in here under the, let's look at the select times. If we look to the end of it, we notice that we might have had several that we didn't want to use. So let's go up here to Sonara Fenstermacher. If we want to delete that time, we'd hit F2 and we'd say yes. If we hold down the Control F2, we'd have the delete armed. We could hit F2 several times and not have to acknowledge. And one of the other fun things is the Alt key with F2 will ask us to erase from the highlight on, and you could do that. The other thing would be in the F1, if you look down at the at commands on special commands, you can delete the finish place numbers 1 through N2 for the bib numbers, but we want to be careful about that. Here's all the other things that you can add times, you can delete times, you can do all sorts of everything else. We can go ahead and you can review that on your own and do these things. Majority of the races that we see nowadays are going to be transponder, so we want to make sure that F5 or this is active, so the times and the bib numbers are linked together, and we handle that with the entries any. We go down to the add a edit results both. Once we do that and we close that up, we save it, and we look at this and we notice that every time we click in any of those columns, we hit F3, F4, we're locked into F5. Again, to get rid of that, you'd go back into the Internet at name screen and you could go ahead and highlight that out or comment that out, save that, and we go back in here and now we'd be able to do the things you want. So a lot of things we've talked about. Hopefully it gives you some ideas to try some of these. A lot of it is using the icons and things to shortcut or do things a lot easier than you'd planned on before. Sorry for the long-windedness, but there's a lot of things to cover on this, and we'll hopefully see you on the next video. Have a nice day.